Hello, my name is Julie, and today I am going to be showing you every book on my physical TBR. I have never done this video before. Some people do this like every year or when they're moving or reorganizing or whatever. I reorganize my bookshelves every single year because I'm weird and I organize my books by if I've read them or not. But so many people have been doing the videos this year where they're trying to read down the number of books on their physical TBR that I have finally gotten curious enough to want to know how many books are on my physical TBR. I have not counted my TBR since the end of 2019. That's 5.5 years ago, so a lot has changed. And then in 2023, I started making my more expanded spreadsheet and I added the section about the book haul. So I started keeping track of what books I added to my shelf every year, but I never looked at anything outside of an annual snapshot. And if you're paying attention, you might have noticed that means there is a 3-year gap where I have no idea what I hauled in that area, except for if I look back on old content. And I'm sure that there are a couple of books that I have lying around that I've just missed in my spreadsheets. We don't have time to go into every single book that I'm going to be talking about, so I am literally just going to show you the cover, give you the title and the author. I am going to run through some stats about the books at the end. I have started making a little spreadsheet and I'll finish it by the time that this video is over. So I would love it if you would leave me a comment down below on which books you think I should read. If you even want to do separate comments for different books, maybe I can make a video out of reading your suggestions. I do have books in 3 separate places, so we are going to be jumping around. I've already done 2 of the places and we've got 1 left. But yeah, it's finally time for me to find out how many books are on my TBR. Okay, if I had to guess, because I love guessing. I mean, I have to have more than 100 books. If I have less than 100 books, I am going to be absolutely shocked. But I don't think I'm up to 150. Above 100 is my guess. Without further ado, let's do it. Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. James by Percival Everett. Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. Model Home by River Solomon. Sky Full of Elephants by Sibo Campbell. My Friends by Fredrik Backman. The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Sharks in the Time of Saviors by Kawhi Strong Washburn. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Reese. Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Falling by T.J. Newman. Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. Star Eater by Kirsten Hall. The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. The Outsider by Stephen King. Reprieve by James Hahn Matson. The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. The Stars Undying by Emery Robin. Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey. The Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd. The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Natural Beauty by Lingling Huang. Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Unruly by David Mitchell. The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. The Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson. The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. The Air Affair by Jasper Ford. The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. The Bird Artist by Howard Norman. The Divorce Colony by April White. My Darlings by Marie Still. Isles of the Ember Dark by Brandon Sanderson. Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. A Pale Light in the Black by K.B. Wagers. Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. When the World Tips Over by Jandy Nelson. We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. Wicked and Son of a Witch by Gregory Maguire. Velocity Weapon by Megan E. O'Keefe. Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. Happy Place by Emily Henry. The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. House of Sand and Fog by Andre Dubus III, The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel, Real by Kennedy Ryan, The Naming Song by Jedediah Barry, The Edible Woman by Margaret Atwood, The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, Eternal by Lisa Scottoline, The Six Wives of Henry VIII by Alison Weir, Revival by Stephen King, The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub, If It Bleeds by Stephen King, Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King, Lisey's Story by Stephen King, Black House by Stephen King and Peter Straub, Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, Moby Dick by Herman Melville, Persuasion by Jane Austen, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, Sherlock Holmes Volume 1 by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, including A Study in Scarlet, The Sign of the Four, and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, The Inferno by Dante, The Essential Tales of H.P. Lovecraft, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll, The Odyssey by Homer, The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, How to Be a Heroine by Samantha Ellis, Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. And those are all of the books. It has been a while and I have tabulated everything. And there are actually 2 books left that I do not have on me physically. One of them is Rose House by Arkady Martine. I currently have this loaned out to a friend. I had an ARC request come in for We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad, and it is not currently at this location, so I can't show you it. So right now, as of the filming of this video, I have 107 books on my physical TBR. That's just north of 100, that's what I thought. However, 3 of the books that I have are compilations of multiple previously individually published books. So I had Wicked and Son of a Witch. If you count those all as separate books, which I have with some books that I've read, that would give me 111 books. However, as of the editing of this video, this is what those numbers look like now. And based on the location, that means just over 50% of the books that I own are here in my apartment. That actually does make me feel pretty good about me reading down my TBR. While you're leaving me a comment with which books you'd love me to read, I am going to give you some stats that I found because there were a couple of hypotheses that I really wanted to test, and we've got some interesting results. First off, let's do the easy thing. How long have these books been on my TBR? This is a skewed bell curve, as I would expect. So the very oldest book on my TBR is from 2014, and that is definitely an outlier. My parents bought me Les Miserables the Christmas after I saw the musical for the first time, and I have always said that that is going to be a book that I want to read before I die, and I have told myself that 2025 is the year that's going to happen. So I'm anticipating that this graph will shrink down a little bit after this. So all of those books before 2020 were books that were in that spreadsheet that I made at the end of 2019. So I know for sure, or approximately, what year they're from. Then we have a hole where 2020 is supposed to be. I genuinely don't have an answer for why this is, but I ended up finding evidence of all of the books from 2021 and 2022. I did not find any books that I have evidence were from 2020, and it just seems strange. Yeah, I was using my library a lot, so maybe that's it. But we see big numbers in 2023, 2024, and somewhat in 2025. I get most of my books during the year in December because of the holidays and then sales. It's not December yet, so I don't have that big boost of 2025, but on 2023 and 2024, I do have quite a lot of books. So I looked at my hauls on my spreadsheets from 23, 24, and 25. In 2023, I hauled 63 books. As of right now, I have 26 left that I have not read. That is 41%. In 2024, I said that I had hauled 58 books, but I actually found a video of me hauling a bunch of books at the very beginning of January 2024. So I just accidentally did not put that stack on either year, 2023 or 2024. That means I actually hauled 64 books in 2024. And I have the feeling that means I was at a net positive in 2024. I'm actually going to check it right now. Okay, my spreadsheet, which does not include those 6 books, says that I had a net TBR of -4 last year. You add 6, that means I am at +2. Okay, I was so proud of having a negative number. And now it's a positive number. And I feel really bad about that. Okay. But back to this. I did haul 64 books in 2024, and I have 33 left, almost exactly half. 51% of them are left. And in 2025, I have hauled 26 books, and I have 17 left. So that is 65% that are remaining. Then there are two other big categories I wanted to look at for the books: genres and where I got the books from. I didn't think basically anything else was going to have any bearing. So first off, I have in my spreadsheet that I use all the time, I'll put in the cards the link to my spreadsheet tour, but also I have the link to my Etsy down below if you want to get the spreadsheet. I have 2021 to 2025, my reading stats. This is the genre breakdown of all of the books I've read from 2021 to 2025. Approximated. Fantasy is pretty big, followed by mystery, thriller, horror, and then general fiction. A lot of the speculative fiction books I kind of lumped in general fiction, but same deal. And then we can compare it to the number that I hauled from 2023 to 2025. Those graphs, as you can see here, look almost identical. So we are only going to be dealing with the number that I hauled, because that's what I decided to do. Let's compare that to the state of my TBR right now in terms of genre. There are two major things that you're noticing right now. Number one, that classic slice has gotten huge. Two reasons for that. Number one, I only read a couple classics a year, max. Number two, the majority of classics that I own, I bought before 2023, so they wouldn't even appear on the haul chart. And the second thing you're noticing is that the fantasy genre got way smaller. That means I am reading the fantasy at a higher rate than I am getting them in, which is really vindicating because I have been feeling like lately on my TBR, I look at it and I'm like, there's like 2 fantasy books on here. What am I doing? We can look at this at a slightly different graph. This is just subtracting the different percentages from these two graphs. Anything in the positives means there is more in the haul category than in the TBR category, which means that I am getting through that stack. Anything in the negatives, I'm not getting through that stack. And anything that is really close to the middle means I'm doing it proportionally. So that's great. So for fantasy, I have a quick turnaround time. I'm reading those fantasy books. Classics, not so much. Then we have a slightly more complicated stat that I wanted to go through, and that is where I got the books from. I have separated this into, I think, 8 different categories. Number one in my biggest category is the gifts I've gotten from other people. That is my friends and family, people personally buying me stuff. Number 2, we have the books that I have bought from secondhand stores. Number 3, we have book boxes and subscriptions. Number 4, we have chain bookstores like Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. Number 5, we have independent bookstores. Number 6, we have little free libraries. Number 7 is books directly from the publishers that were sent to me, whether that is a finished copy or an ARC. And I just have a miscellaneous other category. So let's look at what I acquired from 2023 through 2025. The big categories being gifted, followed by book box and secondhand. But let's compare that to our TBR. The publisher slice absolutely goes away. Why is that? Because I'm getting ARCs and I am being a responsible person and reading those ARCs when I am supposed to before the book is published. So that kind of has skewed our data a little bit. It's not really a contract, but I'm kind of contractually obligated to read those books ahead of time. So it's a little bit confusing if we look at this graph. So let's look at these graphs, but without the publisher and other slots to get a little bit of a clearer picture of the things I do have control over. I was expecting the huge takeaway here was going to be my secondhand chunk had gotten too big, but it's actually the gifts have gotten very big. Also, let's look at that turnaround time graph. The category that I'm doing the best in is my book boxes, which surprises me actually. 2023 and 4, I had to buy a ton of books to try to clear out my credits from the different services I was using, and I managed to actually get through a ton of those, which I'm happy with. So that one in indie bookstores are pretty good. But the category that's really bad is gifts, and the category that's second worst is secondhand. While I was doing all these numbers a minute ago, I was thinking there has to be a reason for gifts to be the one that I'm worst at. I had 2 theories and I tested them both. First theory was that I am more likely to purchase for myself a book that I have already read. Nope. In the last 3 years, it has been directly proportional. So that's not it. My second theory was that gifted is the category where there are going to be the most books that I have not asked for. I looked through all the books that I was gifted and marked out all of the books that I didn't ask for. So according to my math, in the last 4 years, I have hauled 209 books. 67 of those books were gifted to me by other people. And 15 of those 67 books I did not ask for. If you're looking at my TBR, there are currently 38 books on my TBR that I was gifted. And 16 of those books, yes, one more than I've acquired in the last 4 years, are books I didn't ask for. That means 42% of the books that are still on my TBR that were gifted to me were books I didn't ask for. That's a significant portion. Absolutely no blame to the people who give me books. A lot of the times, my family just buys off of my Christmas or birthday list that I've made. But sometimes they want to shake it up and they give me something different. And it's also me not shitting on the taste of my family members. I looked at the numbers and 5/6 of the books that I had not asked for were books that they also had not read. It was them just doing a guess or getting me something cheap that they saw. So I wouldn't say that there are hard feelings, but it does mean that I am acquiring books that are low on my priority. Maybe I should make a little project where I work on getting through some of those books because they seem to be taking up some space. Now, to interrupt your very perfectly edited and shot and everything video, I was talking to a friend of mine about those two theories, and it turns out there is another reason why my gifts and secondhand books are the ones that aren't being read. And it is because those books I am acquiring in my hometown. Almost all the other categories of books, from box stores, books that I am getting sent by publishers and such, everything else, I am acquiring where I live, and they are getting put onto my TBR cart much faster because they just happen to be around. Those books that are being gifted to me for my birthday and Christmas, I leave that back home and I take a couple with me at a time to fill up the shelves when I know I need space. I think if I had all of my TBR in one location, there might be a little bit more of an even spread. But with the theory of, not all of these are books that I put on my TBR for sure. But I think the fact that they are not here right now and physically not within reach is a much more solid reason why they're not getting read as much. But I think that's all the numbers I had for you all today. Thank you so much for coming with me. Now I know this number, I feel like I have forbidden knowledge and I kind of don't know what to do with it, especially because I'm like, wow, if I really wanted to, I could just take care of that. I could get rid of that 100. And honestly, this video also encouraged me to unhaul some books that I really wasn't looking forward to. And I didn't even show those books to you. I am straight up just getting rid of them before this. I've already taken them off my TBR. And if you like them, look in the description. They are on my Pango Books account right now. And if you don't have any books that you really want me to read, just leave me a book stack emoji to let me know that you're here. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, I would love to have you around. If you'd like to find me anywhere else on the bookish internet, you can find me at the links in the description. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.